Oh, snap. I was muted the entire time. Oh, gosh. JB. I was just basically giving an introduction saying, if you're new, please make sure to smush down the subscribe button. If you're new, sorry, I apologize about that. And if you are new to the channel, please also make sure to give a thumbs up. And I'm also now available on uh, Rumble. So if you guys would like to give me, some support on Rumble, then I'm also now going to be on there as well. So is going to, uh, you know, it's going to be interesting to be on another platform, but I am well prepared for it. And so I'm happy to be there. Now, to the people who are watching in the chat, so good to see you, Miguel. Nice to see you as well. Yeah, I was muted. I did a JB blunder again. It's okay though. It wasn't for long. It wasn't for very long. So hopefully people can just speed past me doing my formal introduction so that I can do this. This, by the way, won't be on the regular podcast because it's just an impromptu stream. But I just wanted to make sure that I got to this subject because I thought it was laughable, but at the same time, there's a lot of people who are being led astray when it comes to certain factoids about this particular subject. Yipper, as long as I don't have to work an extra hour and there's an increase in pay, well, hey, yeah, that's exactly what I say as well. So, Swery Fairy, so good to see you. Omar Rona, also. Krona Ursa, yeah, it's good to see you all. Yeah, I realize it is. So good to see all of you. Jenna Colby, so good to see you. Def Leopards is joining us as well this evening. So good to see you. Uncle Warren is in the house. All right. All is here and accounted for. All right. Everything is good. Voice is good. Audio is good. Looking is good. Yeah. Hey, how you doing? Come on in. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna get myself in trouble. I'm not gonna get myself in trouble. Nope, 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 nope. Nope, nope, nope. Y'all not gonna get me in trouble now today. I'm doing the finger thing that Eddie Murphy does. No, no, no. Y'all ain't gonna do this to me today. Okay, so what we're going to do today is kind of similar to what I did a few days back with Tucker Carlson. And we're going to do a reaction to this. Now, of course, I did see it before, and yes, I laughed my ass off, as I should. But we're going to do this, and then we're going to couple it with, someone who I'm subscribed to. His name is Second Thought. He actually has a video based on this as well, which I'll be doing some reacting to. And I also put the channel as well as the Twitter links for Case Study QB. Shout out to Case Study for this clip, and to his channel as well. So make sure you subscribe there, okay, and follow him on Twitter, as well as to Second Thought. Second Thought is a much larger channel than mine, of course, but he puts out really good content. Please make sure to follow his Twitter as well as his channel, because each Friday, basically around 10:30ish on Fridays, he puts out a new video. And it's really good quality content, highly edited, highly, just very well made. So I also do encourage you guys to do that as well. What we're going to do, all I wanna do is a boom, 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 then a zoom, zoom. Just shake your butt. Let's share the screen really quick. And trust me, guys, y'all gonna laugh. But that comes with the territory. Hang on. Let me make sure. Okay. Make sure that is okay. All right. This is from Case Study QB. Shout out to my brother. Case Study says Fox News. This was on April 13th, 2022. California considering a 4-day work week. He quotes Geraldo Rivera and saying the employer is not allowed to contact you on the weekend in France. It's illegal. Oh, the horror. Oh no. Oh, you should hear it. Okay, so y'all ready? Y'all ready for this? Okay. All right, let's go. Let the bullshit commence.
Democrats in California are trying to cancel hard work. Here's their idea. State
cancel hard. Wait, just in the first, 5 seconds. 5 seconds. California's trying to cancel hard work. Oh, hard work. Really? Let's continue.
Reps are proposing a 4-day work week for companies with more than 500 employees. That's right. They're proposing shortening your office work week from 40 hours to just 32 hours. But get this part. Your salary stays the same. So it's 32 hours of work for 40 hours of pay. And if you want to work more than 32 hours, you have to get paid time and a half for overtime.
Ooh.
And remember, this is happening in the midst of an alarming labor shortage in America.
Don't promise me with a good time, Uncle Mustache. Hey, all right. All right. That sounds good.
You have to get paid time and a half for overtime. And remember, this is happening in the midst of an alarming labor shortage in America. And
the labor shortage is basically because people don't want to work for terrible wages. People actually want to get paid for what the actual labor is worth. And so therefore, according to free market principles, a lot of times people are withholding their labor so that the price will go up. So that is what it is. But apparently they don't like this and they're like, nobody wants to work anymore. I thought that if you wanted to demand more higher salaries, then you just withhold your labor. I thought that was part of the whole thing. I mean, supply and demand, right? Anyway.
Employers cannot find workers. There's somewhere around 10 million jobs unfilled in this country right now. Are they lazy, this generation, Judge? Is that what it is? Or have they figured out life is short? We've been taught to work so hard. You waste your whole life working. You could be taking it easy and get overtime.
Okay, so the way he framed that was complete and utter BS. Because number one, you're attributing it to laziness and not people being overworked and underpaid. That just shows how disconnected he is to actual work. Look, someone like Geraldo Rivera has been in this business for probably close to 40 years. He is not a spring chicken in this business. I remember when he used to have his own talk show. I think he used to be a news reporter. So he's been in this business, for a long behind time. I'm trying to clean up my language so that, I'm more adaptable to larger audiences. I'm self-censoring. I'm not doing this for anybody in particular, but out of respect for people, I want to make sure my language is a little bit more cleaner so that, I could be heard around the kids. But anyways, so they're just being lazy. Do they even work 40 hours in his position? Do they? Like, I'm just mad curious. Yeah, Uncle Mustache been doing this since the 70s. I mean, he's been doing this since before I was born. Yeah. Oh, jeez. All right, Uncle Mustache, let's go.
Let me tell you what's going to happen. If you're in a company with more than 500 employees, you get to work 32 hours instead of 40 hours. That means everybody else is going to say, I only want to work 32 hours or I'm going to quit my.
Exactly. Yes. Yes, Auntie Janine. No, I'm not even going to call you Auntie Janine. Somebody get their auntie. Janine, yes. 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 Okay?
My job, okay? And the problem then is that after 32 hours, they're going to say, oh, I only want to work 25 hours.
What's wrong with that? What is wrong with that? If the job is done after 25 hours, what is wrong with only working the 25 hours and getting paid for the amount of labor that it would cost to do in 40? Why? Why not? Miss Janine?
This is the beginning of the end, as far as I'm concerned.
Of capitalism? I hope so. I hope so. Oh, please, please. Let it be the end of capitalism. Please.
Okay? Nobody wants to work anymore. Everybody's lazy. The pandemic's a mess. People.
You know what's funny? Nobody wants to work anymore. It's funny how people are just saying, pay us a decent wage and give us a better work-life balance. Nobody wants to work anymore. Nobody wants to work anymore. When all we're asking for is a good work-life balance. It's like kind of like that trend on TikTok, where somebody will say, my husband absolutely hates me and he's trying to leave me. And then the husband will chime in and say, I did not say any of that. All I said was that we're going to have to go to the movies on another day. And then they go, see, they hate me and they don't want to love me and they want to leave me. What? Like, nobody wants to work anymore? No, nobody ever said that. Gosh. Jeez Louise.
People are walking around in pajamas in the supermarket. They go.
So what? And what? If they're walking around in their pajamas in the supermarket. So what? And I thought you wanted them to consume. Why do you care if they come in their pajamas? Now, would I come in my pajamas? No, I wouldn't. You know, but oh well. They're buying stuff. God.
Go to church in their pajamas. I don't get it. That's all I have to say. Nobody wants to.
God created us butt naked anyway, so.
Work. The
Everyone's
asylum
lazy.
workers are dressed better than these people.
That's right. You know, the problem with keeping businesses open, Greg, is critical. Mm-hmm. Now, I mean, the restaurants close now.
For whom? Now, you can say for everyone, but the thing is that if you're giving more people more time off, I mean, some businesses will stay open, of course, because they're absolutely essential. But you're giving people more time off, and technically it actually gives more people, I mean, even just from a capitalist or commerce perspective, if people have more time off, that means they have more time to shop. They have more time to use services and goods that you guys want them to consume. And yet that you have a problem with that. Just from that perspective alone. Never mind the emotional, mental, and physical benefits of giving people more time to have leisure to themselves. I mean, here's the funny thing. Do these people who are sitting around this table at Fox, do they work day in and day out for 40 plus hours a week? Do they have a proper work-life balance? Do they?
Monday and Tuesday. They shorten hours. There's no one.
It's destroying my social life.
It's destroying my social life. Oh no! Oh, them working shorter hours. I will be able to go to the cricket grounds. I will be able to go play golf and tee off. I won't be able to go. Oh. No, the horror, the pain. Give me a freaking break.
And that's when it starts hurting me, I care. But you know what I think they realize? They realize in a 40-hour week, maybe at most you work 32 hours.
Right.
You know what the thing is?
Yes. I mean, you're this close, bro. You're this close. This close, right?
There's a lot of inefficiency built in the workplace, including even coming and going to work.
Yep.
I never understood a lunch hour, but then again, I don't have kids. I don't need to.
There is a ton of inefficiency. So why not give that free time to people so that they can rest, relax, rejuvenate, recharge.
To run to to do errands.
Right.
So I just sit around and I always have, my assistant. I pull a Jesse and have my assistant do everything.
I have my assistant do everything. See? We shouldn't shorten the work week, but I have my assistant do everything. You see why in the title I put elitist? Hey, by the way, look, hey, if you have your assistant do everything, put it down in the comments. And if you don't have an assistant, then put that in the comments too. But do you have your assistant do everything? Do I have an assistant? Do they do everything? I don't know. Do I have an assistant? I don't know. Who's running the stream right now? Is my assistant in the background running the stream?
But you know what? This is going to end up turning us into a virtual reality cocoon. Everybody's just going to evolve into staying home. They're going to get everything they need at their house. They're going to get really large.
Sorry, the big agriculture already did that. They already made us large. I mean, just look at all the additives in food and things like that. Well, they already did that. So the job is already halfway done. By the way, we're already at home a lot because of a lot of the systems that have been set in place, and a lot of times we have to stay home. The majority of the time that we aren't at work because we have to rest because you guys literally give us very little time to spend at home. A lot of people are now working, 50, 60, 70 hours a week. So the time that they have left, they can only be at home. So, I mean, it's already been done. We're just trying to free up some time for ourselves.
And the only people that are going to be in the outside world are the people who can't afford the inside world.
Exactly right.
Jesse has the appearance of Ferris Bueller type person, but he works very hard, I know.
Thanks, Geraldo. Was that a question?
Yeah.
Here's what I think, Geraldo. I've stopped caring about
The millennials?
Californians. Here's why. I used to feel sorry for California. I used to try to fix California. We have to do this. We have to do that.
Nope.
What do we care?
Yep.
They voted for these people.
Right.
This is a democracy. It's on you guys. If you guys want to have homeless tent cities with meth heads running around and
What? Hold up. Wait. Tell me this man just not. Hold up. Wait a minute. Hold up. So dejected from reality, he doesn't realize that this is actually happening. Like, really, dude?
voted for these people.
Right.
This is a democracy. It's on you guys. If you guys want to have homeless tent cities with meth heads running around and
Homeless tent cities? Going to have homeless tent cities? You mean like Skid Row? that we already have under a capitalist system while people are working 50, 60, 70 hours a week already? Oh, come on, dude. Come on. You mean to tell me, to sit there and tell me that this hasn't happened yet? What reality do you live in? Are you serious, Ferris? By the way, Judge Janine Pirro, the lady on to his right, well, I guess to the left from our perspective, her middle name is Ferris. Anyway, I digress. But here's the crazy part. You don't even realize that that's actually happening. As rich as you are, it has not even occurred to you. And dude, you're rich. You've been to California. You have not even looked outside of the window of your Uber XL to notice that there are literally poor people that are sleeping in tents on the street. And mind you, you guys want to talk about meth heads, while a lot of you and your buddies, I don't know about you, but a lot of people in your tax bracket are got mirrors and razor blades in y'all dressing room for a little twinkle twinkle. And y'all want to talk about meth heads? Oh, please. You and all your rich buddies, y'all be doing y'all shit too. Trust and believe it. So please do not get up on your ivory high horse and start talking about people who do a little something something, because y'all be doing a little something something too.
And get free food and free cash. You guys do you. We'll be normal in the rest of the 49.
Free food and free cash. Free food and free cash. So he just insulted the unhoused as if they didn't exist. They do. He just insulted people who suffer from drug addiction. He just insulted people who are on SNAP benefits, who, even though some people work 40 and 50 hours, they still can't afford food because their job, the pay that they give is asinine and horrific. So they still have to get food stamps. By the way, I'm also a recipient of food stamps. Hi, nice to meet you. So you're insulting me too. And what you said, free money. So cash assistance to people who can't afford to actually live. So you're insulting them, basically making it seem like they're just a bunch of welfare queens. Yeah, that's exactly what you're doing, dude. You know who's the biggest welfare recipients? Gates, Bezos, oil companies, Amazon. They are the biggest recipients. They're getting all that free cash. And yet you don't say the same things about them, do you?
We can't help California. They have to help themselves.
They got a lot of
Are we,
delegates.
Dana, like France?
They do have, but not ours.
It's funny that you say that. I wrote France.
Hang on. Isn't California the place where Ronald Reagan was the governor? They make California sound like this left-wing paradise. Well, to us, like, I wish it was, but it's not. You make it sound like that, when in reality, it is the neoliberal right-wing bastion. People want to make it seem like California is that. Nah. Look, California couldn't even get a vote in their General Assembly for single-payer healthcare. And you want to pretend like California is left-wing. And you know what's funny? I love how a lot of people, they always attribute all the ills of capitalism to socialism, even though all these ills are happening inside capitalism. All the stuff that's happening in California, under capitalism. Wars, under capitalism. Poverty, under capitalism. And yet, nothing.
France right here on my favorite, because if you want to be more like France, there's like, eat more croissants. Don't go this route. The other
If you want to be more like France, eat more croissants. What? Is she kidding?
other thing is they did in France. If you look at their economy, they're terrible. But also, for a while, they were like, well, we don't really want to put our defense money into NATO because it's like we want to spend money on our other thing. We don't have enough. Okay, I'm
Yeah, they don't want to put that much money in NATO. They want to spend it mostly on themselves. I mean, if it's for the welfare of the country, and don't get me wrong, France got a lot of neoliberal BS going on there too, of course. But at the same time, they're slightly better than the United States. Slightly. And so you're going to sit there. Lord, somebody get their cousin.
I'm not trying to do a French accent. You're not allowed.
Yes, you are.
The employer is not allowed to contact you on the weekend. It is illegal.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I would look. Oh, Lord, do not threaten me with a good time. Don't threaten me with a good time, y'all. I ain't got to worry about you trying to call me in on the weekend. Lord, that sounds beautiful.
For an email to be sent to you on the weekend in France, for example. And here's the other thing. If a company thinks that they can attract more talent by saying you're going to work 32 hours a week at this salary, great. But the government shouldn't tell people to do that.
I was thinking,
Who's going to tell her about the 40-hour work week? Who's going to tell her? Who's going to tell her about labor laws? Who's going to tell her? Who's going to tell her that you can't hire an 8-year-old to work in a factory? Who's going to tell her? Who's going to tell her that you have to tell companies not to dump toxic or hazardous waste into natural areas? Who's going to tell her? Y'all need to get y'all cousin.
Greg would be in prison if he was French. Saturday morning.
How do you know that?
I know everything. I know things I don't want to know.
I've received some of those.
Allegedly. Look. Somebody get y'all uncle. Somebody get their uncle. Somebody get Uncle Mustache. Come on, man. I'm telling you right now, this was the most elitist thing I have ever heard. One of the most elitist things, besides what Nancy Pelosi said about canceling student loan debt. That was some BS too. But really, y'all, good Lord, my assistant. If I was the king of France, not duke, not prince, but king. Like the elitism in these people. I mean, like what? Why are they wrong? Why are they wrong? Okay. Share screen again. Thank you for coming to the JB Show, where we debunk all the bullshit. All right, so this is from Get Clockwise. It says 3 benefits of a 4-day work week. Right? What is a 4-day work week? A 4-day work week employs over 4 days per week, and 4-day work week employees work over the course of 4 days per week instead of the traditional 5 days. Models based upon business needs. The main difference between them is how many hours employees have to work in total. In some companies, they work 4 days per week, but still must hit 40 hours, working 10-hour days. I've done that before. It's grueling. Other companies are experimenting with 4-day work weeks that include fewer working hours, targeting 32 hours per week through traditional 8-hour workdays. These are the most common structures of this model. This actually gives examples of different companies that are experimenting, with 4-day work weeks. You have one that's called Primary. They are experimenting with 4-day work weeks at a total of 32 hours a week. And a lot of these companies actually started this during the pandemic with great success, mind you. And so I'm going to put this link in the chat so you guys can take a look at that. And it also talks about the benefits of the 4-day work weeks. And it gives some of the drawbacks, but the benefits outweigh the drawbacks. Okay. Let me see. So for Primary, it says Primary reported that the 4-day work week allowed employees to return to work on Monday feeling recharged. And on top of that, the company's voluntary attrition rate fell to a mere 7% during the Great Resignation, a time when employees are leaving their jobs en masse. Let me make sure I put this larger for y'all so you can see. So the next company is Buffer. Now, this one says while the experiment was a positive for many, feedback results revealed that some teammates struggled with the schedule change for 2 reasons. First, not everyone had the same day off, plus public holidays conflicted with time off. This made keeping up with schedules confusing, but since the 1-month trial went so well overall, Buffer pursued a 6-month pilot for their 4-day work week. The extended pilot proved to be a success as well. Results showing that it boosted autonomy from 4.3 to 4.7 out of 5, decreased stress levels from 3.3 to 2.9 out of 5, and established stable happiness levels around 3.7 out of 5, even in a world flipped upside down. Says Buffer is sticking with the 4-day work week for the foreseeable future with some caveats. Team members who don't meet their objectives may need to return to a 5-day work week, which I think is complete and utter bullshit. They should just hire more people, but whatever. And some roles have work weeks that look different due to the nature of the position. Next one is Elephant Ventures, as it talks about how it was an adjustment for employees at first, but the excitement around 3-day weekends grew over time. Workers shared that the new flexibility gave them more time for personal commitments and errands. A shift in their meeting schedule, fewer meetings for more focused work time, improved efficiency. Elephant Ventures has since moved to a permanent condensed 4-day workweek schedule. Bolt says 94% of employees wanted the 4-day workweek program to continue. 86% of team members were more efficient with their time. 87% of managers shared their team maintain productivity and service levels as needed. Kickstarter. It says in July 2021, Kickstarter announced plans to pilot a 4-day workweek beginning in 2022. The company is choosing to pursue a 32-hour week model. While they're still in early days, we look forward to hearing more about their results and whether they choose to pursue a work week in the future, which most likely is actually going to happen. Countries that are actually doing this, Iceland. Iceland conducted 2 large 4-day workweek trials that included 2,500 workers. And then you also have New Zealand. They also did it as well with great success. In fact, so much so that Andrew Barnes, the CEO, he wanted to basically push more of a 4-day work week to be more universal. Governments in Spain and Japan advocate for 4-day work weeks. See, look, here's the thing. This is all because they want to keep you basically locked down at the office. or locked down at the job. They do not want people to have a proper work-life balance. Because capitalism's true fulfillment is slavery. Every single time you have a labor law that is put in place, it is a speed bump or is a bridle to capitalism from getting back to its original objective, which is slavery. That's basically what it is. Every single time, child labor law slows down capitalism. Laws for 40-hour work week slow down capitalism. Laws for how you treat your workers slows down capitalism. That's all that every single time a labor law within capitalism is established, it slows down capitalism and it takes you further and further away from slavery. However, the thing is that capitalism is smart because capitalism will cut those bridles every single time. Because now what are they doing? People's hours are going up, their pay is going down, things are staying more stagnant. Why? Because the preferred model of capitalism is slavery, because they want you to work and they don't want to pay you for it at all. Because what capitalists want is maximum profits for as little pay as possible. That's basically what it is. So that's the fulfillment of it. And so if they can get you to work hours upon hours, if they can get you to work for free, they're going to do it. And that's who these yahoos are trying to advocate for. They essentially want your ass to work for free. And guess what? Y'all don't work for free. I don't work for free. Right? And not only don't I work for free, but I also want to be properly compensated for the labor that I produce. So do you. And because it's fair. It's fair. And if you can do that same job in 32 hours, then instead of 40 hours, then pay me the job of 40 hours for that I could do in 32. Why not? Yeah, Yipper. Belgium and Iceland too. Yeah. Our productivity has arisen so much over the last 50, 60 years. We are way more productive than we ever used to be. And what? That's not good enough for you? All right. So I did a poll so far, and I said, would a 4-day work week benefit you personally? 96% of you said yes. 4% said no. And of course, there's going to be a small percentage that are going to say no, even though they think a 4-day work week is good. Because there's certain jobs where your job just won't be able to end on a 4-day work week. You know. One of the comrades at Second Thought did a really nice video, and I am going to be showing that in a second, because he basically debunks a lot of this, and I just want you guys to see this as well. So just trying to make sure I get past these commercials because all right. All right, let me close this. How's the stream, everybody? Everything going good? Okay. And I'll be pausing periodically. Okay. This is from Second Thought. Oh, wait. Make sure the volume is up.
This episode and others like it are made possible by the generous support of my patrons on Patreon. My AdSense revenue has completely tanked in the last couple months. So if you'd like to help support this channel and get a bunch of cool perks while you're at it, consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/secondthought. What if we stopped working? No, really, what if tomorrow we just didn't clock in? What if
That's a very good question. Stay tuned.
every single one of us just stopped right now and saw what would happen?
Bikini Bottom is literally in a state of total chaos tonight.
Literally!
The real answer is things would go downhill real fast. It would be, like, so bad. Empty shelves, empty cities, empty promises even. We wouldn't make it very long without anybody doing anything we call work. But that doesn't make what if we stopped working a useless question. Because in an otherwise simple answer, it would suck, there's something a little more interesting hiding in the background, just out of focus. What is that? Enhance. Enhance. If the answer to what if we stopped working is we can't, that begs the question, how close can we get? And that question, well, that question has some pretty interesting answers. Let's back up. If you go to parties, you've probably been asked the question, what do you do? If you answer, I make YouTube videos, no you don't. Who would ever give you the chance to give that answer? See, the joke here is that YouTubers have no friends. Like, no one at all. Like, bottom of the barrel, trapped in a pit of loneliness.
I know! Oh, God! I know. Continue.
Anyway, the fact that what do you do is the default punch bowl question demonstrates at least one thing about our current society. Work is one of, if not the biggest part of our lives. But it doesn't have to be. Already, multiple countries are trying out things like a 4-day work week. How does this work? In countries like New Zealand, Spain, and Iceland, they ran experiments with shortening the work week to just 4 days, and then they wrote down the results, and now we're looking at them. One of the better known cases here is Iceland, which ran a couple experiments between 2015 and 2019 after unions started pushing for more time off. For a lucky 2,500 Icelandists, for a lucky 2,500 people, time on the job was decreased to just 4 days, going from 40 to around 35 hours a week. Crucially, without salaries going down even a single frozen fish, or whatever they use for currency over there. Unsurprisingly, it worked really well. People were happier, less likely to experience burnout, healthier. Overall, they just had a better life. And
so, less burnout, happier. This contributes to your overall mental health, right? Let's be real. If you're experiencing less burnout, if you're able to have a better work-life balance, spend more time with your family and friends, being able to do your hobbies that you would like to, or even just sleep in a little bit more, isn't that better for your mental health? Aren't we always talking about the mental health of people in this country? Wouldn't that be something? Would that be worth it? I mean, chat. Like, wouldn't it be worth it at all?
thanks to the successes of the experiment and the strength of trade unions, over 80% of people in all of Iceland shortened their working hours or gained the right to after these trials were run. Even fancy business people in suits were happier because they got to save on some of their costs and didn't see a dip in productivity. Because as
Oh. Hold on. Did you guys hear that? Hold on. Let's go back just a second.
business people in suits were happier because they got to save on some of their costs and didn't see a dip in productivity. Because
they literally saved money. Like, what are they always trying to do anyway? They're always trying to save money. They literally saved more money and didn't see a dip in productivity. Like, hold up. take my take my socialist perspective away, take that away, and put in a capitalist perspective. Even still, a 4-day work week is more beneficial. Even still, from a capitalist perspective, it's a 4-day work week is more efficient. And yet, you got Uncle Mustache and his merry band of elitists that want to talk about, oh, well, they're trying to shorten the work week and it's going to make things a lot worse for the United States. Have they looked at the data? Like, what? Continue.
Because, as you might not find very surprising, productivity has a diminishing returns curve. The longer you work, the less productive you are. Each new hour of time on the job brings less and less benefit and is more and more justified in being lopped off entirely. And
wait. Let's go back on that. Hold up.
And these sorts of experiments are all well and good, but what if we went even further? This week's benefit and is more and more justified in being lopped off entirely. Work, the less productive you are.
So when you get to a certain point, the more hours you work, the less productive you are. Then that means the efficiency of working too many hours actually drops off. Meaning that you're literally wasting money by making people work way more than they should. Interesting concept. Like, who'd have thunk it? Apparently not Uncle Mustache and his merry band of misfits.
New hour of time on the job brings less and less benefit and is more and more justified in being lopped off entirely. And these sorts of experiments are all well and good, but what if we went even further? This week's episode is a little different. Usually, videos on this channel focus on the bad stuff. Ooh, we hate bad stuff. Sorry, ignore him. I don't know how he got in here. And no doubt about it, this video is still going to have some of that, with a side of political theory to appease the nerds. But for the next 15 or so minutes, we're mainly going to answer a couple questions about work. What it is, why it's such a big deal for some people, and why it could just not be. Because it could. We don't need to work so damn hard. You'd think that that fact would make for easy political points, just right there for the taking. Who wouldn't vote for the candidate or the party that's going to make their lives more pleasant, less constrained, more free of work? And
if only, right? What if you had somebody who's running for office and were like, yeah, I'm a big proponent of shortening the work week to 32 hours or even 28 hours. I want you to get the same amount of pay, and so you can work a little bit less because you're just as productive in 28 hours as you are in 40. What if somebody who is running actually did? How popular would that person be? They wouldn't be popular with the billionaires, and they wouldn't be popular with the super rich, and especially a lot of the big business owners. They wouldn't be very popular with them. But with the people, with the workers, oh, they'd be very popular.
in some countries, they do have that kind of politics. But the reality is that neither major political party here in the US is trying to reduce the time we spend at work.
We have to get back to work. Our people want to work. They want to go back. They have to go back.
A job's about a lot more than a paycheck. It's about your dignity. It's about respect. It's about your place in the community.
Neither party is trying to meaningfully reduce our working hours.
Neither party is trying to meaningfully reduce our working hours. Neither party is trying to meaningfully reduce our working hours.
Despite enough people hating their jobs so much that Forbes, of all magazines, can run a listicle with 15 ways to, quote, rise above resenting your job, with such helpful tips as, get over it. That's not to say that the sentiment doesn't exist at all in our government. Democrat Mark Takano is trying to get a bill for a 32-hour workweek through Congress. But by and large, neither party is anti-work. Should they be? Okay, let's go over some definitions. Despite being an illegal wordle guess, work is actually a word. Work is the effect we have on the world. It's using your physical or mental effort to achieve something. Without any work at all by anyone, we'd all die. Without nurses, electricians, teachers, people getting out of bed to make breakfast, society would crumble pretty quickly. We would be completely idle, and not for long. Some amount of work always needs to be done. Nowadays, some work gets paid with money, and some work gets paid with no money or barely any money, and also disdain. Being against work, or anti-work if you spend any time on the worst place on the internet, isn't ignoring that fact. It's recognizing that some work always needs to be done, but that the conditions that shape that work should be different than they are now. It's saying that the goal shouldn't be to work as much as possible, but as little as possible to achieve what we want. The
Efficiency. That's what it is. It's efficiency. It's not trying to create work for the sake of work. It's trying to lessen the amount of work so that you can enjoy your life more. That's basically what it is. Like, how many people, like, look, chat, how many of you have asked this question or heard the question asked? You know, are we supposed to just work, all of our waking hours and then get just this tiny bit of time to retire and enjoy our life when we're too old to truly enjoy it? Is that what life is all about? Just work, and then we die? Why do we ask that question? Because we're not enjoying. Look, I told this to one of my boys a couple weeks back. I'm gonna get a little philosophical on y'all. I hope you'll indulge me. But here's what I said. You want to know what the purpose of life is? I'm gonna tell you exactly what the purpose of life is. The purpose of life is to live it. I know, profound. The purpose of life is to live it. The thing is that overworking you takes your purpose of life away because you're not living it. You are merely existing, and you're helping the people who are oppressing you to have more of an abundance of life than you. That's what it is. They are literally stealing your time, because that's one of the things that we can't get back. They're literally stealing your time and giving you very little compensation for it so that they can have an overabundance of time, an overabundance of resources so that they can actually live their life, but you can't. That's what it is. The purpose of life is to live it. And they apply that purpose to them, and they think that it does not apply to you. That's the way it is. Because they think that they're better in some way. Because they came up with the idea. A lot of times those ideas are stolen. Or they just think that they're somehow better than you. And so unfortunately, that's the way this system works. And then when people say, you know what? I'm going to withhold my labor so that until you guys start paying more. Then these same people start complaining, and they start moaning and going, nobody wants to work anymore. No, nobody wants to get paid terrible wages anymore. Wake up, Uncle Mustache.
The goal is to maximize leisure and the quality of that leisure by balancing that interest with the necessity of work. The goal isn't to not work at all, but to work for things that matter and on good terms. This is going to sound really obvious, but for most of us, that's not how work goes.
No.
Work is something we need to do to get access to the things we need to live, like food, shelter, and healthcare. Under capitalism, the only way to get these basic necessities of life is to work in some way or another and get a wage at the end. You work or you starve. Seems pretty coercive. While at work, you have no or very little input on your work conditions.
That's true. You have very little to no input on your work conditions because the workplace is typically a very totalitarian environment. You don't partially own the means of production. You go in, they tell you exactly what to do. Even if it may be harmful to you or the environment, you have to do it. And because you don't get a say, and even if you may have a more beneficial system to that job, they don't want to hear it from you. And so therefore, you just have to go in, do your job, and go home. If you have enough time to go home. And that's how they operate. Even though you put your blood, sweat, and tears, you put, your labor into it, they only give you a small fraction of what your surplus labor has contributed. And then they expect you to do this for hours and hours and hours on end without decent compensation.
Sometimes they're okay, other times not. On top of that, our whole lives are conditioning us for that reality and imbuing it with value. Work will set you free, no pain, no gain, or there's no such thing as a free lunch are some examples of the ideological discourse that accompanies the material reality of coercion and makes it seem more natural, more palatable. Our necessity to work is accompanied by a psychopolitics trying to enshrine work, in the largest possible sense, as a value. But
Serial procrastination is something that affects.
Oh gosh, sorry guys.
seem to work as well as the benefactors of that discourse want it to. When you consider how much of our time we spend thinking about not working, whether it's dreaming up a vacation we want to take, fantasizing about winning the lottery and quitting, or buying an ironic Garfield mug, it seems like we all want to stop working pretty badly. And yet, when we're given the chance, a good chunk of us keep working even when we don't need to. Some billionaires still work, as do many lottery winners. Retirees often volunteer or continue working in some capacity, even when their needs are met and they're supposed to be in the part of their lives where they stop.
Interestingly enough, a lot of times, a lot of people, it's not that they don't want to work, it's that they want to do something that's meaningful, or they want to be compensated correctly, appropriately for the labor that they produce. That's basically what it is. Why is it that you have people who have millions or billions of dollars who still go to work every day? Why? Gosh, nobody wants to work anymore.
So, do we like to work or do we hate it? The obvious answer is that it depends.
Yep.
What does it depend on? Meaning. When we find work meaningful, we're more than happy to do it. And there are a couple ways that work can have meaning. There's the most obvious one, which is that work which allows us to develop our talents and interests, to self-actualize. Then there's work that grants us autonomy and control over the work itself and the product of that work. And of course, there's work that produces something of importance. These kinds of really obvious factors give work meaning, and help explain why people work on things even when they have no need to and could live in complete and total leisure. But
Autonomy, mastery, and purpose. Autonomy, because it's something that you can just do. Mastery, because you want to get good at it, and purpose, because it gives you purpose.
But unfortunately, in the US and the UK, around a quarter of people feel like their job is completely meaningless. And a big chunk of people on top of that aren't really sure, don't really know if their job is meaningless. They just don't know. They can't figure it out. Which,
You know, it's funny. A lot of times, for instance, when I used to work for a famous department store, I can tell you this much. If the CEO were to quit or were to leave, would the department store stop running? No. But What if all the people who worked as cashiers, who worked as stockers within that department store would have suddenly quit? Would the business stop? Absolutely. Why?
Is really to say that their jobs aren't evidently meaningful either. That doesn't mean that every single one of their jobs is entirely pointless. Meaning and purpose are different, even if there's bound to be a big overlap in that group between pointless and meaningless work. But it definitely means that, at the very least, those jobs are alienating. They're jobs that feel bad to do. They're jobs that aren't imbued with meaning. And that's not even the whole picture. Of the 8 to 9 hours spent every day at work by millions of people, between 1.5 and 3 of them are spent on private activities. We might call this wasted time. Not in the sense that it's not good, it's totally fine by me, but in the sense that it's not really the purpose of being at your job. But as you might expect, or are doing right now watching this video, in which case, nice, workers spending that time on personal things are still pretending like they're being productive during these hours of work that aren't quite downtime, but aren't quite work either.
Okay, so how many of you guys have spent a few minutes, especially if you work in front of a computer, y'all shop a little bit? Or sometimes you guys are at work and you may tune into the JB show while you're at work because y'all got a little bit of downtime. Let's say hypothetically you're a security guard and it's late night, it's 2-3 o'clock in the morning, nothing's really going on, and you basically spend about an hour or so just chilling, watching, something on YouTube. Or it's slow at the store where you're at, and you just go to the break room and just chill because it's slow.
It's ridiculous. While part of this rightfully stolen time is a form of worker resistance, the clear majority of it comes from having nothing to do but being stuck at work, forced to keep up the appearance of click-clacking away or calling people who really don't want to talk to you, just because that's what your boss expects.
If you have time to lean, you have time to clean, basically. Look busy. Because we want to make sure that we're properly being properly compensated for the little amount of money per hour that we pay you.
You're not really free to do what you want, but you're not really working either. And when people are working, not committing, quote, time theft, an even bigger number of them are working on pointless, mind-numbing tasks like moving data from one Excel spreadsheet to another, responding to emails, or writing reports for someone to throw in a drawer and never look at. Busy work.
Oh, God. What in the hell? But yeah, the whole thing about busy work is true. It's basically that time to lean, time to clean type of BS. Where it's like your whole station, your office is already clean, but for some reason they want to keep you busy. Hang on, let me go to the chat real quick. Yeah, exactly. You watch videos or you read manga. Yeah, exactly. Yipper. Funny thing about sleeping at work, that's the culture in China, where they actually say, you know what, humans, a lot of us are meant to sleep during the daytime, and it actually gives us a second wind at work. So, yeah, go ahead, take a nap. They condition nap time at school. So, you remember as a kid at like kindergarten, maybe first grade, you guys had nap time. Imagine that trend continuing throughout all your school years, even into the workplace. Imagine that. Like, imagine being a college student and you're working on the weekend, and 2 o'clock rolls around and the entire place shuts down. Everybody puts their heads down, or they bring out a little cot and they go straight to sleep. And they sleep for about 30 to 45 minutes. Imagine that. And that's in China. So, yeah. Yeah, no, y'all getting a glimpse into my algorithm. Oh, Lord. Yeah, no, because here's the thing. A lot of people actually get sleepy around 1 to 2 o'clock in the afternoon, which I'm starting to observe is actually quite normal for a lot of humans. So that's what I see. All right. I love videos like this. Oh, sure.
People who do nothing at all day, by their own admission, but still have to do it. There's a true army's worth of people wasting their lives behind computers, standing up for long hours in the same 2 square feet,
Yep.
working through the night. And for what? A great many of them just for the appearance of productivity, or the appearance of luxury, or the appearance of importance, to make someone else feel good and pad their wallet just that little bit more by making sure everyone else knows how very important they are. After all, why would someone who's not important have all those underlings? The cost of this bullshit economy is tremendous. Bullshit workers are being robbed of a life. And we have a terrible response to this fact of modern society. In liberal circles, the idea is to redirect everybody to public works projects, achieve full employment, bringing money into people's hands so they can spend it on goods that recirculate that money into the economy and produce more. Trying to give, quote, dignity to jobs that are clearly just exploitation turned up to 11. On the right, the idea is to pump more money into businesses on the foolish hope that they're going to just create more jobs, or deregulate workers' rights to the extreme so that they can fire everybody into the worst kind of poverty we can conjure up, and pay the lucky few still employed next to nothing. Run the leanest operation possible, Uberize everything, and sell the precarity of unstable, low-paid work without a safety net as choosing your own hours, or being your own boss. Very few people are willing to embrace the most obvious conclusion. A lot of this is unnecessary.
So it's funny because in liberal circles, they'll talk about, oh, we need, these public works programs to get people back to work. And it's like, yeah, but what kind of work? We need to ask that question. Like, what kind of work are you talking about? Because there's a lot of us who we will have work, but does it actually produce something? Is it actually meaningful? Like, what are we, like, why do we have this job? This is one of the reasons why I actually like what a lot of people who are proponents of MMT say, talk about a federal jobs guarantee. And there are some things that people can do that would help contribute to, bettering the planet. Maybe a true, like, green revolution, a green industrial revolution that would help us. Also, while we're at it, if people have a 4-day work week, then that means there's less people having to use their transportation to get to and from work. Meaning that can cut down on emissions, that can cut down on travel time, which is better for the planet. Interesting, right? So therefore, you're consuming less. Let's continue.
We're working too much. If we distribute the workload and the benefits more evenly, we can work a lot less.
Yes!
Politics isn't the only place where myopic conclusions about work are reached. When we get out of the realm of explicitly political discourse and into the space we arbitrarily separate out as social, the same tropes and attachment to work aren't hard to find. Hustle culture, the rise and grind set, whatever you want to call the ideology juice that gets a millionaire to spend his free time flipping garage sale toys for $15.
And he tells you that all he does is hustle. Rise and grind. Oh, the millionaire mindset. You got to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, read 3 books a day, and you have to be productive in order to become a millionaire. Oh, gosh.
This modern phenomenon is another way in which this political attachment to the Protestant work ethic gets absorbed into our everyday lives. Another way to try to attach meaning to exploitative work, rather than limit labor to work that is already meaningful and practical. Instead, shaping people's entire identity around turning idle time into another buck. Clearly, we have an abundance of free time right there for the taking. So many people wouldn't feel like their jobs were meaningless if there wasn't some truth to it. So much time at work wouldn't be spent slacking if it couldn't be. The truth is, we've made tremendous progress in terms of productivity over the last 100 years. Automation and industrialization alone have taken some of the more laborious activities we used to call work out of human hands entirely. But in over 80 years, the 40-hour work week hasn't budged. It's not laziness to ask for more time for leisure. It's
interesting how that is, right? 40 hours a week probably worked at that point in time because it was probably really necessary. Do we really need to be working that much anymore? I mean, is it really necessary for us to do that much? Hang on, let me... Okay. Sorry, y'all. I had that shrunk.
efficiency. It's purely pragmatic. We accomplish the same amount in a couple hours as it used to take a full day.
Yeah.
More on a Monday than used to be possible with most of a week. We automated away many of the things we didn't want to do so that we had the time to do the things that we do want to do. Spending that time we earned creating new jobs where we feel stuck at work for hours on end just because we have no good mechanism to distribute work and protect the unemployed means failing to realize the goals of automation. It is wasting all that progress.
Google Career Certificate.
Oh my God! Ugh, sorry. Annoying. But yeah, it basically is wasting. So it's like, let's embrace automation, but from a perspective of giving more people the time to be able to actually be human, to actually live instead of just existing.
It's undoubtedly not so black and white. Some of the industrialization and automation of the past century has allowed us to take on new work that does actually improve our quality of life. But focusing exclusively on that to justify useless jobs with the sole purpose of padding some higher-up's wallet and satisfying the doctrine that, well, everybody has to work, is ignoring the main way we could be improving our lives today, making work a smaller part of it. Okay, so what if we tried answering the question, how close can we get to eliminating work, in an unscientific way? If we took the estimate of 25% of people having meaningless jobs at face value, which in all fairness is a stretch, we're eliminating 25% of our work hours. Work weeks go from 40 hours to 32 here in the US. That's not bad. And we don't have to accept the fact that these jobs are actually meaningless to want to reduce the time spent on them. Even if these jobs do have a purpose, the feeling of meaninglessness they create clearly demonstrates that they are incredibly mentally damaging for the people working in them. Reducing those hours, like we would with incredibly physically demanding jobs, makes sense beyond a strict productivity maximization framework. In another example, what if we took that statistic about 1.5 to 3 hours being completely wasted every day? Taking that into account, you end up with somewhere between a 27 and a 33-hour work week.
If you can just work 30 hours a week instead of 40 hours a week and get the same amount of pay, would you do it? If you can cut that time and be able to use that for more leisure so that you're able to recharge yourself. If you are an employer or a manager or a supervisor, wouldn't you want that for your workers so that they can actually be as productive or if not more? Why would we want to walk away from that?
That's also pretty good. And if this seems like an absurd way to calculate how much time we're working, I agree with you. I shouldn't be plucking numbers out of this or that study, doing simple divisions and calling it a day. But this is no less absurd than how we determine work hours right now. Just a couple people at every company write your contract.
Yep.
They set your working hours, with the only limit being what the law says they can't go over.
Bingo!
Pushing most industries right up to that 40-hour clock out. And the only reason that number isn't any higher is thanks to decades of worker agitation.
Yep. The only reason why you work 40 hours is because the government says that if you work past that, they have to pay you time and a half, and they don't want to pay that. If they could, they will work you into the ground. Remember what I said about capitalism's fulfillment is slavery. If they could, they will work you into the ground. But because there is that bump, that speed bump, then it slows capitalism down and says, nope. You have to pay them more if they're working past 40 hours. So then that's when capitalism goes, damn. All right. So we're going to lessen the amount that we pay them. And then we'll work them like crazy.
Revolts, protests, demonstrations, other synonyms for people being angry, clawing it from industry. Were it not for the gains of militant workers, we'd still be punching in 12-hour days side by side with newly minted 12-year-olds.
Yep.
This is an absurd way to decide how much work needs to be done. Letting a couple guys make all their demands and only tempering them when society faces mass-scale agitation and violence bubbling up in the streets is absurd. It shouldn't get to this point. The clearly better way to determine working time is to work for necessity and desire, to make decisions in common about needs and allocations of resources, to use governments, organizations, and democracy everywhere across the board to establish how much we work and how much we set aside for leisure, to disentangle work from necessity so that we can really make these decisions without constantly fearing for our meals and fighting others for the scraps. In short, to include democracy in economic decisions, to take into account our resources and desire to work without constantly fearing that every drop of sweat we don't shed means worrying about being taken over by the other sweatier worker at the other sweatier company. To stop.
Who thinks that it's bad to democratize your workplace? Like, we talk about how democracy is a wonderful thing, and yet when we talk about putting it into the workplace, somehow it's evil. Somehow it's bad. Is that the one time you actually think everyone having a say is a bad thing? I think having democracy in the workplace is actually a very good thing. I think we should have more of it. I think workers should have a say of what's going on, where they spend a majority of their time in a week, in a month, in a year. I like that. More democracy in the workplace.
stop people who profiteer off the work of others by hogging everyone else's free time. To not have a system that decides how much we work based on how much the guy at the top really wants a new watch. Missed birthdays, funerals, and every other life event in between be damned. Now, this isn't about getting back to some primitive way of life, idealized beyond the reality of tremendous hardship and ableism past societies encountered without the technological and social advancements we have today. This is about taking stock of all the time going straight down the drain for no good reason other than keeping an unjust system chugging along. This is about enjoying a life like we have now with more time to actually enjoy it. If you spent a couple less hours at Best Buy, would society be okay? Or AutoZone? Or making coffee? Or on the clock in your cubicle? Sure.
Good question. Would society collapse if you spent just a few less hours at your job? Let me know in the comments. Would society truly collapse if you just took just a little bit of time off? If you just shaved a little bit extra time off the clock? You work, instead of 5 days a week, you work 4? Would society truly collapse? Is society going to collapse just because you do just a little bit less? You know, that's a good question I would like for you to answer.
Sure, GDP could go down a bit, but we already know how the GDP gets broken down between the rich and the poor anyway. We wouldn't be maximizing profits and exhausting all the human labor power at our disposal. But that is not the point of being human in the first place. So long as we can reorganize our...
Maximizing profits is not what it means to be a human in the first place. Say that louder for the people in the back. We're all going through this human experience, and people need to be able to live it. Like I said, the purpose of life is to live it. We need to just stop allowing these people who are oppressors to take that away from us.
We can reorganize our society towards one in which GDP dips aren't synonymous with austerity for the majority, where we care more about the productive resources at our disposal than the numbers on a screen meant as a proxy of those resources. We can dramatically change the nature of work and how much time we decide to put into it. Even without touching those structures, we can still meaningfully cut our work time. Today, burnout rates are through the roof. More and more people are being pushed into holding multiple jobs. People are desperate for leisure time, but can't afford to take it. We, as human beings, need time to do whatever we want, for everyone. Art, music, reading, going back to school, watching TV shows, playing sports, cooking, being with friends, traveling, volunteering, farming, doing literally nothing, or even working, just on something else. It's with...
How many of you actually get enough time to do all that? How many of you really get enough time to do all that? You don't. Because you work in a system where they want you to constantly produce. Humans are not built for that. We're not.
Within our reach. Our obsession with the ideology of work and the coercive model of decision-making holding our society captive are the only barriers to its achievement. We can build a world where work is rewarding, meaningful, and fair. I'm gonna be honest. YouTube has really been screwing me lately.
Make sure to subscribe, and if you guys have a little bit, you guys contribute to Second Thought's Patreon. Thank you so much to Second Thought for this very well made video that actually talks about the nature of work and working a 4-day work week. Right now it's almost at 110,000 views. If you guys can make that go up just a little bit more, then that'd be great. They're a really great channel. But yeah, Bill Bradley says we don't even really need produce. The largest employment sector by far is the U.S. in the U.S. is the service industry. Yeah. I mean, we really don't even make things anymore. We just service people. That's pretty much all it does, you know? Yeah. Give them a second thought and subscribe. Can you make sure the recommendation for that video makes it into a Substack? I don't have a Substack for my channel. I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't have a Substack yet. I'm thinking about getting one maybe in the future, but I don't have one as of right now. But yeah, so you know, I'm at the point right now where when I was working for a large furniture company. I was in sales, and I was still on. You know, I've been on dialysis for the last 15 years, so I was on dialysis at the same time as working at this place. And in order to, number one, make my quota as well as make enough money uh, to supplement my income, I was working 10 to 12-hour days, 4 days a week. So I have dialysis 3 days a week, right? And then 4 days a week, I was working 10 to 12-hour days. That's 7 days a week. I was either working or at dialysis. I did not have an actual day off. And if anybody knows anything about kidney dialysis, dialysis makes you fatigued and exhausted beyond what normal humans feel. So I was doing that as well as working. And the work that I was doing, I was standing on my feet on a concrete floor and a sales floor between 10 and 12 hours a day. It got to the point where my body was like, you know what? I'm forcing you to take the day off. And I started having huge pains in my side. I thought it was my appendix or something. As soon as I got home and a couple of hours later, next thing you know, pain subsided. Because my body was like, you're just doing too much. My mother would tell me, you're doing too much. You need a day off. My mother is constantly telling me, you need a day off. And I did that for 2 years straight. 2 years straight. 7 days a week, either dialysis or work. Rise and grind, 2 years straight. To the point where my mother was telling me, you need to stop. You need to take a day off. We live in a society where leisure and time off and being able to be a human being is set aside for only a small group of people. They're the ones that get leisure time to be able to play some music or paint or read a book or do something that they've always wanted to learn or go to the beach or just sit there and do nothing or hang out with friends. And then you get a lot of people who say, well, you guys can do that when you're retired. Number one, the retirement age was raised from 65 to 67. So they actually took 2 years off of that. By the way, a lot of us, by the time we hit retirement age, we're going to be too old to be able to actually do things productive that we want to do outside of work. And yet you have a lot of people who go, well, you can just do it when you retire. Some of us won't be able to. And why are we denying young people the ability to live their life now? I don't think that's fair. And then on top of it, we try to coerce them into having kids while doing it. So they already don't get enough leisure time. They already don't get enough personal time to actually be humans. And then you want them to have kids on top of it. And so then once they have kids, then even more of that time is taken away. So then what? And then those kids are now scarred emotionally because their parents are working all the time and don't have time to spend time with them. Couples are breaking up by the yin yang because they don't have enough time to spend together. And then on top of that, you don't want to pay them a living wage or a thriving wage. So therefore, they end up going home and fighting with each other over finances because you won't pay them a living wage. And you don't want to democratize the workplace. So then even more marriages split. And then guess what? Then the kids get affected. And it becomes a cycle on and on and on and on. And then you guys decide, well, you know what? These kids are traumatized, so we got to make some money off of them. So, all right, let's drug them up. Let's drug them up. Let's get them some Prozac, some Adderall, some Xanax. Let's put it in their system. And then make them work more. You see what's wrong with this system? You see what's wrong? And then some of them, they get physical pains. You start prescribing them things like Percocet and oxycodone. And then you wonder why a lot of us start smoking weed instead. You wonder why. Number one, 0 side effects. Number 2, can't overdose. Because the stuff y'all trying to give us makes us OD. And then guess what? We OD and we die, and then our parent family has to go into debt just to bury us. And the cycle continues on and on and on and on. For what? The purpose of life is to live it. Why are we allowing people to take our purpose away? I agree when people like, my friend Afeni says we need to hit the streets. This is why. This is why. Look, and I'm going to be real with y'all. And I hope I don't get flagged on YouTube for this. But there's also some of the reason why some of y'all ain't getting that much booty. Because you're too tired. You're too tired to connect with the person you love. You're too tired to connect with yourself. You're too tired. Let's call a thing, right? Let's be real. You can't even with the one you love because you're too tired, because you've been working, because you gave all your time to the billionaires and the multimillionaires because they demanded that from you. They demanded the time, that limited time that you have on this planet to them, for them. Yeah. Exactly. We're tired of being tired. And imagine, like, this is why a lot of us, we feel like we have nothing else left to lose. So, yeah. Crazy Uncle Mustache can go take several seats when he wants to talk about, oh, well, they want to shorten the work week. This is going to ruin us. Spoken like a true capitalist. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Bill. Sick and tired of being sick and tired. Yeah. So, yeah, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about this. And I appreciate you guys joining me for this impromptu stream, because this is something that needed to be talked about. People, the life that people have, like for instance, how many of you are sleep deprived? Because you have to work in an industry that doesn't match up with your circadian rhythm. And it's thrown you off. You may be the type of person that is maybe a somebody that wakes up late in the in the early afternoon and stays up till maybe 2-3 o'clock in the morning. But you have to work at a job where you have to be up at 8 a.m., 7-8 a.m. And so now you're sleep deprived. And you have to consume drugs like caffeine in order to stay up. Like, really? Yeah. It's not fair to you. So, you're welcome, Elhanar. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm just saying that y'all deserve better. All y'all. All of you. You deserve to live your life. You deserve to have a life. Not this soulless existence. And if you enjoy what you do, that's great. That's all good. You're in the minority. By the way, you don't have to enjoy what you do. I just want you to be able to have a job that you're okay with doing, but have enough time to enjoy your life when you're off, and have the abundance of time to enjoy your life when you're off. Even people who simply like farm and build their housing and things like that, for their life, you only need to farm and harvest so many hours a week, especially between harvest time. If you build something or repair something in your house, you do that building or repairing, and then you're done for quite a while. There's certain things, yes, that you have to do constantly, of course, but just like cleaning your house. But you're not doing a grueling job day in and day out. For what? Just to keep the productivity up, just to keep the numbers ahead of what you guys made for last year. What are the numbers we made last year? Is it up? Yes, it's up by 0.3%. Okay, great. Success. We grew. So yeah, I just want to thank all of you for tuning in. Again, I want to thank Case Study QB for that clip. Please make sure to subscribe to Case. Case is a wonderful friend to the show. I've actually did a show with him a couple months back. He was on here. So please make sure to give him a follow and also subscribe to his channel. And please make sure to subscribe and follow Second Thought as well. I want to, thank him for his contribution in this space for that as well. Basically debunking, what people like, Hairy Uncle Mustache decided. Somebody need to get their uncle. Let me tell you, somebody need to get their uncle. Somebody need to get him, because he is just all which ways wrong. But second thought, thank you so much for debunking all that within 15 minutes. I know it was longer for you guys watching because I kept stopping and making points, but I had to because it was just that good. But yeah, so I want to thank you guys, and please make sure to subscribe to him. Also, just to remind you guys, I am also now on Rumble. So if you guys would like to look at my content on Rumble, you guys can look at it there. And I really appreciate you guys tuning in. Please make sure, if you guys are not subscribed to my Patreon or my Coffee, you guys want to like to give me a little bit more support there, you guys can. And I will be on RBN tomorrow for the JB show. So you guys can catch me on there tomorrow. And make sure to do these couple of things. I want you to make sure to water your plants. Okay? I want to make sure that you water yourselves. Drink plenty of water. All right? Leave the world better than you found it. And sometimes that means just leaving somebody's world just a little bit better, just so that they can have just a little bit more joy, just a little bit more happiness. I don't care if it's just sharing a positive word with someone. Just messaging somebody out of the blue who you haven't talked to in a while and say, hey, I haven't heard from you in a while. I just want to let you know that I'm thinking about you and I miss you, and I hope all is well with you and yours. Just doing that. Just affecting somebody emotionally in a positive way can help leaving the world better than you found it. Just do something like that. Or look, like I said in the tweet earlier, gas your friends and comrades up. Gas them up. If they're looking good, like, look, if your homeboy got a fresh cut, hey, fresh cut, looking good. Let him know. He got a good outfit on. Hey, man, I like them socks. You're killing it. Or, look, you got a friend. She made a really solid point. Hey, I just want to tell you, you made a really good point there. I appreciate what you're doing. Something. Just gas them up, man. Trust me, it's going to come back to you. Let them know that they're valued. I think that's one of the issues that we have, that people don't know that they're truly valued. And then people tend to devalue themselves in their heads. By the way, stop devaluing yourself in your head. Stop lying to yourself. You are enough. You are good enough. And I'm telling you this. If you weren't enough, you wouldn't have people who care and love about you. And people do care and love about you. They love you. Really. You have an intrinsic value that is priceless because you have human value. And don't let anybody else ever take that away from you. Why? Because you're you. And people love you because you're you. And I'm happy you're still here with us. And oh, by the way, smoke him if you got him. I know y'all still listening. I love y'all. Forehead kisses. Mwah.